Hey, what's going on, AudioSkills listeners? It's Ben Runyan again with another video for AudioSkills.com. This week, we're going to be discussing how to import a song into your DAW and begin the early stages of a remix with Logic 10. Now, there's a few steps you're going to need to take to make sure that you get everything in place to start to remix your song and have an idea of where you would even begin with the concept of remixing. So let's get started. First things first, I've imported the song Earth, Wind, and Fire, September. So the band Earth, Wind, Fire, the song is September, as you know. It's a fantastic song. So we're going to need to know a few things first about this song before we can even begin remixing, adding loops, importing drum loops, or making new drum rhythms with MIDI or synths or whatever it is. So let's go ahead and approach that first. We're going to need to know at least two things. The first of which is the BPM. The second is the key. And the third, maybe even what year this song was produced. And the reason why that's important is many songs before, let's say, I'm going to give an arbitrary decade, the early 1980s, weren't necessarily recorded with a click track or a metronome in mind because they weren't dealing with a lot of MIDI elements. So that means for us that the song may push and pull in tempo, meaning if we dial in the exact BPM that a certain website says it is and line it up with the click, we might not get the results we're looking for. So we'd have to be mindful of using things like flex time, if you looked at some of the previous videos, to start and push and pull things to try to get them into place. So that can be an overwhelming task. Let's take this step by step and go ahead. Start with the first thing. We're going to open up Safari, our browser. We're going to Google September, Earth, Wind, Fire, BPM. Now, one of the first websites that should come up is this website called songbpm.com, and usually that's pretty reliable. Wow, immediately not reliable. So let's go back. Let's go to the next thing here. So they're saying it's 124 beats per minute. Let's try this. 124 beats per minute. So they're saying 126, and they're saying it's in, let's see here. Let's see, get song BPM. 126 beats per minute, so that seems to back that up as well. Time signatures in 4/4, which we know. All right, so then let's go ahead and dial in our DAW here to 126. And then let's go ahead and say September, Earth, Wind, Fire, key. The key of the song, wow. Is it an A? It is most likely in the key of A major. So let's just set this to A major. This doesn't really functionally change anything right now, but it is going to help us remember that it's an A major. So we'll test that theory in a second. So second thing second. So let's say we have the general BPM. Now we need to find the downbeat of the song to be able to line this up. So if I drag this to the beginning here and just, arbitrarily put a cycle around here, and play it back with a click track, I'm almost certain that it's not going to line up. Obviously not. But it does sound like it starts with the downbeat. So we want to line that up exactly. So we're going to use our scissor tool. I'm going to go right to this first beat here. I'm going to pull this back again. Let's try again. That sounds like that's too fast. Now, this is kind of the first downbeat of the verse. Now, notice when I play around with the tempo, how that may or may not start to line up with bar 11 here. So that says to me that the first site that said it was in 122 or 123, I believe, might be more correct. So let's try 123. Wow, none of these are correct at all. That sounds more correct. So to me, that obviously says that this wasn't in any defined tempo of any kind. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut to the beginning of this first verse. Do you remember? of Member, Do You Remember? And I'm going to pull this back. And I'm going to try to take this piece by piece here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to double click on this. I'm going to pull up Flex Time, this icon right here. Turn on Flex and it's going to go ahead and analyze the song. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the beats here. I can see that's early. I can push that over. Now, just kind of where we're at right now, if you're a little bit confused, I'm going to want you to go back to the previous video about vocals with Flex Time and look at that before you even attempt this. So let's keep going here. Now you can see that there's some push and pull in there because this song obviously was not recorded to a metronome. I just want to at least get this one full loop. I'm just using my eye here. All right. All right, so from bar 9 back to bar 1 here, I should have a pretty good clicked out loop here. Pretty good. Now, the thing about this is one of the more challenging examples. So if you can follow along with this, you can do just about anything. As we explained in the beginning of the video, if you're dealing with a song after this time period, let's say in the 80s, where it's pretty standard for people to sync things up to a MIDI track or use MIDI to sync up tempo timing, generally speaking, when you pop in the BPM, it should just lock straight in. So I wanted to take the most extreme example to try to show you how to deal with this. Now, what I was basically doing was looking at the transients and seeing where things were late or early and trying to shove things back on beat. So you can see here that these are vaguely on beat here. These transients are lining up with these tempo ticks here. But something like this, you can see that this beat was happening too early. So as I redo some of this, you can see me pull this to here to 6. And then because I do that, you can see the rest of these mostly fall in line with some exceptions of this pushing and pulling here. So listen back to it one more time just to make sure it's all good to go. So a little too early or too late. So a little drag here. I think some of my undos made that go out of loop there. It did. All right, let's check that one more time. All right, great. So now, this isn't going to be the one part of the song that I'm necessarily going to take and just remix that verse. That said, for now, just for the sake of video, I'm just going to chop that off and mute that, pull it over here, and say we're going to deal with this for right now. So now, the next concept that we're going to want to test is the A major to see if that's in A major at all. So let's do this. let's just pull up a simple piano sound from the EX24 in Logic. And I'm just going to go factory, acoustic piano, Steinway, sure. And I'm going to pull up the keyboard, the virtual keyboard, Command K. And let's see, A major. So let's see, H. That's A minor. A major. Okay, so A major feels right to me. So this is where things get really fun. I'm going to use Splice here, which is, as I've explained in other videos, basically the Spotify of royalty-free music samples. Check out Splice. Also check out Native Instrument Sounds. And I'm going to go to all samples here. I'm going to do filters, and I'm going to do in the key of major A major. So I only have 4 results here. Ooh, something sad. So, all right, let's try this ridiculous sample here. Now, I'm going to deal with some other tempo issues here, mainly that this sample is in 100 beats per minute and our song is in 120 beats per minute. So if you go back and look at the first video in my series, the Logic 10.4 update, you'll learn something about smart tempo. So go back and watch that if you need to, but otherwise, I'm going to go to File, Project Settings, Smart Tempo, and I'm going to set it so that new imported files get aligned to the beat. Logic now has that function. I'm going to go ahead and download that sample, and I'm going to drop that right in. And let's see if that did what that's supposed to. It did. Now let's see if that sounds right with Earth, Wind & Fire. It does, but obviously there's a ton of clashing going on here. So what do people classically do in a bootleg remix? They EQ. I'm going to EQ out the entire low-end range of this song. There's a weird chord there at the end, though. So, because that sounds so weird and out of tune, I'm just going to repeat that third section, and that should sound fine. Now, it started to sound a little bit off at the end here. So let's see where that's happening. All right, right there. That wasn't right at all. There we go. All right, so that's one way to look at it, is that loop right there.